Please find a mark.
Thank you all for being with me today. We're going to roll out in the next little while an unbelievable operation. This operation was only possible because of remarkable work by a lot of professionals. I'm excited today. As you can see, a lot of people fooled around and found out. And I want to start for just a couple of minutes and go down the list because this is very important. I want to make sure that we recognize, for example, our NGOs, One More Child and Heartland for Children, and you'll hear from them in a few minutes. Heartland for Children is contracted to DCF. Because when we do these human trafficking operations, we make sure that we're able to begin services immediately as soon as we discover them. So we couldn't do these at the quality and the level we do without them. There's been a change of administration, I don't know if you noticed, in the White House, and now we are allowed to have ICE with us. ICE was embedded with us for the first time. Now there's two groups of ICE that you'll see and hear from, HSI and the ERO side. Then, as you see in front of you here, my colleagues from around the state and around the country, we have a National Innovation Academy. They were also embedded. It's part of their training curriculum. We have an 8-week program, and it is a high-end program for those who are in leadership positions in law enforcement agencies around the country. And it's important that we give them some real-world, hands-on technology experience. We appreciate them being there. And by the way, if you've not sent people to this NIA, this National Innovation Academy, you're just not as cool as you could be. I just want to add that, okay? For the first time, our Sheriff's Artificial Intelligence Laboratory helped set up the infrastructure for this. It's the first of a kind. For those of you who are local, know that we spoke about artificial intelligence and starting the cell unit not so long ago. And I do want to add, we partner with the Polytechnic. They give out 3 major awards, and we are excited that our students assigned to us as a capstone course embedded in our cell unit won 2 of the 3 top awards. The other one was won by NASA, so I thought they were in pretty good company with that. Chris Hansen from True Blue was with us on our Predator side of the operation, and I'll talk more about that. Angie Morchi for Sinclair Broadcast, which has 90 television stations, was also embedded with us, and you may recognize her from Spotlight on America. So why do I talk about all of that? Because it's the partnerships and the relationships and the trust that make successful operations occur. That is foreign to some law enforcement agencies in some parts of the nation, but it's not foreign to us here. It's how we've done business for a very long time. I'm going to go through real quick. You've already heard from One More Child. There's going to be 2 speakers, Jody Demangi and Stacy Ham will speak with us. The Hardy County Sheriff's Office is here with Vint Crawford. Osceola participated with Sheriff Lopez. ICE David Griddy, who is the Assistant Field Office Director, is going to speak. DCF is here with Amanda Wilson. The Attorney General's office is here, and Rita Peters is going to speak. She, by the way, I like to brag on Miss Peters. That's her professional name. We call her Rico Rita around here. If you're involved in an organized criminal enterprise and she hasn't prosecuted you yet, she will. Just wait. Homeland Security, Tom Fowler, Haines City PD, Zephyr Hills PD, Chief Derek Brewer. Haines City PD was Chief Hopwood. Lake Alfred PD, Chief Bodenheimer. Lake County Sheriff's Office, Captain Ron Patton. Lake Wells PD, Captain Stephanie Cook. Bartow PD, Captain Bill Stevens. Davenport PD, Captain Don King. Auburndale PD, Lieutenant Skinner. Now, the other agencies that aren't here that also participated, the U.S. Army CID, Pasco Sheriff's Office, Hillsborough Sheriff's Office, Claremont Police Department, Marion Sheriff's Office, Winter Haven Police Department, Tampa Police Department, Pinellas Police Department, and obviously our state attorney's office, Brian Haas, who is the absolute very best. Now, I'm going to go off script here for just a second, because whenever we do these operations, there's a mastermind behind it that you never see. Well, our mastermind's about to retire. Bobby, come stand up here for a minute. Lieutenant Bobby Kirkpatrick is simply the very best. So when you see this operation today, I want you to know that the silent genius behind all this is this man right here. He's been with us an entire career, and retirement time's come. We're not going to let him stay retired long. We're going to bring him back doing something somewhere. But I want you to see all of this magic and know that it doesn't just happen. He coordinated it all, from those that made the undercover operations to all of the infrastructure, except for the posters and stuff. And the magic of this room today, obviously, is Director Scott Wilder. Bobby, thank you for your crew.
Thank you, Sheriff. I'm very humble.
You're the best, okay?
Thank you, sir.
All right. So the important thing to remember with this operation, there were three components. There was a human trafficking component, a child predator component, and an illegal immigration component. We arrested 255 people in 9 days. 141 Johns, 93 prostitutes, 10 others that drove for proceeds and etc. We had people come from 12 different states to be arrested in Polk County, Florida. Obviously, they must live under a rock, but now they live in the county jail. They also came from Puerto Rico. We arrested a huge number of child predators, 11. What's important about this is arresting child predators is very difficult. It takes a talented group of folks. You're going to hear more about these child predators because they're the most despicable. And I can tell you that if we didn't make any of these arrests and only had one child predator we took out of circulation, all of the resources would have been worth it. Illegal immigration, as you know, is on everyone's mind, and you can watch the evening news depending on what you watch, what you want to hear. But I can tell you that about 15% of all of our arrests in the human trafficking operation and our predator operation, about 15% were here illegally in this country. You'll hear more in a minute. They came from Venezuela, Cuba, Honduras, Mexico, Haiti, Colombia, Guatemala. 22 of these folks were receiving government assistance. That's right. We work, we all work, we pay taxes, and then that tax money was given to these folks to use to come commit crime. I want you to think about that the next time you look at your pay stub and see your money going out to the federal government. Know that the federal government is giving money to these folks so that they don't have to work and can come here and violate the law. The youngest we arrested was 17, the oldest was 70. Our folks stand in the gap between good and evil. They took 8 firearms during this operation from 8 different suspects. 25 people were charged with narcotics. We filed 386 new charges, 102 felonies, 284 misdemeanors. Now, there's always some that say, oh, it's low level, you know, it's consenting partners and yaddy. And once you get over that, understand these folks had as many as 919 previous criminal charges. One guy we'll discuss had 2 murder charges. And by the way, he spent a long time in prison, but he got out just in time to fool around and find out. You'll see occupations from military, 1 active Navy, 13 veterans, a medical doctor, a retired NFL player, engineers, insurance brokers and agents, regional vice president of a timeshare, Walmart store manager, party planner, IT database, IT software engineer, an IT guy that works in a technology area at an international airport. Now, that gives me comfort. IT database guy for the federal government. Crane operators, business owners, and in the medical field, RN, CNA, medical techs. We had a lot of different people from a lot of walks of life here. But you can see how remarkable this operation is, and I am going to go over in just a few minutes some of the things that you just can't believe. Now I'm going to start with the predators. They're the ones that obviously worry me the absolute most. I'm going to go through these quickly because we have several of them. This is Arthur Denard. He's a registered sex offender already out of Tampa. And he's registered because he had sex with a minor in 2007. He's been to prison on 2 different occasions, and he's out. We've said it over and over. If a sex predator is out, he's dangerous. And he came here thinking he was going to have sex with a 15-year-old child. In fact, he didn't actually travel. He just talked online, and Tampa police, one of our colleagues in this operation, picked him up. And he told this 15-year-old child, I want to put a baby in you. Well, we put a gel in him, so there you go. Then there's Eric Corliss. Eric Corliss is a regional executive for Red Cross Disaster Relief. Think about this. Red Cross does marvelous, beautiful work, and we're so proud of them. But this guy has embarrassed himself and embarrassed his family and embarrassed the Red Cross. He's a big boss. He's an Army veteran. He's married. He was, are you ready for this? Get a grip. He was married to a law enforcement officer, a supervisor in Hillsborough County. That's right. He left his phone at home so his wife, I'm sure a trained detective, wouldn't know where he was. When she heard about it, she's absolutely mortified, and she packed up and left, and she said, sayonara, I'm taking the kids and leaving. This didn't appear to be the first time. He was experienced at what he did. And he also went to great lengths to try to hide his identity when he was online. But think about this. A professional man with the Red Cross married to a professional lady, and he took advantage of her, embarrassed her and the children, and he went to jail. Then there's Vern Cunningham. He's 26. He's an illegal alien. Our ICE partners put a hold on him. He came for sex with a 15-year-old female. He brought cookies. Wasn't that nice? You know, I mean, after all, she's a child. She may want a cookie. You know, where's the milk? You know what I'm saying? But he wanted to bargain. I'll pay half up front and half after it's over. And when we arrested him, we asked this guy, well, why did you do this? He said, well, curiosity killed the cat. Well, you're going to have the cat people on you now. So Gregory Cooper's from Wesley Chapel. He's married for 31 years. He's got 2 adult daughters. He was in the Air Force for 20 years. He had a top secret clearance. Huh, that's interesting. He came thinking he was going to have sex with a 14-year-old male. And since it's a kid, he goes, what might he like? I'll take him an orange soda and some fruit gummies. Was that before or after? You know, I'm just saying. He's a regional manager for Enzer Roller in Lakeland, at least he was. He was very nasty and very graphic with what he said and did. They're in prison. County jail, actually, now. Prison's where we're going to do our best to send them. Nicholas Capart's 46 from Riverview. He's married. He's got 2 children. He spent 10 years in the Marines, and he wanted sex with a 14-year-old girl. And he said, hey, if this goes well, I'll permanently make you my girlfriend. His chat was remarkably nasty as well. Then there's Domingo Francisco Miguel. He's married with 3 children. He has a legal green card. However, upon his conviction, ICE has agreed to relook at him because he's not a U.S. citizen, but he has a green card to be here. He traveled to have sex with a 15-year-old girl. He told his boss, now he lied to his boss too, by the way, I just thought I'd share that with you, that he needed to go get some medicine. I guess he didn't realize that his medicine that he'll get will be at the county jail. But he was a jolly old soul. He said, you know, when I get out of this, I'd like to be a detective. I really would. He said, I like your work. I don't know if he's trying to, you know, grease us up or if he's just a nut job. Doesn't make any difference. He's going to the county jail. Aston Mack, he's 35 from Deltona. He wanted sex with a 15-year-old girl. He ran from us. Can you believe that? That wasn't nice, but he did. He thought he was talking up a deal with a family member. Well, you know, I'll pay you and I'll have sex with a child. What? What are you thinking? Now, he worked for the Opportunity Community Ability Group, OCA, in Orange County. And that's a group that helps special needs children. They say he never had any contact by himself with the children. Mostly he was admin support. But I want to brag on OCA the second that we notified them. They terminated him. They were totally cooperative. They were mortified. They were glad that we found him and arrested him. But he's in jail, charged with human trafficking. Matthew Klein is 48. He's a receptionist at Guard Law Legal Group in Lakeland. He shouldn't have to go far to find an attorney to represent him. He wanted to have sex with a 14-year-old male. He thought the child was home alone. He admitted that he had had sex before with children. That's still under investigation. He was also looking for children on 2 different apps. We found him really working hard to find children. He traveled and he, by the way, neglected to tell us in our undercover capacity that, oh, by the way, when I have sex with you, I'm HIV positive, which that is a criminal violation of law in the state of Florida, not to notify your partner that you are HIV positive. But there are several things before I go on to the others that I think you should know, because these people are unbelievable. I picked out a few of their quotes I thought I'd share with you. Y'all get a 10-star rating for customer service. This is really awesome. Not for me, but for y'all. Oh, by the way, can I do my volunteer time with you guys? No. This guy said I had the option of going to church or coming here. I picked here. So, wrong choice. He had a chance to be in church, talking with Jesus, worshiping, doing what's right. Instead, he wanted to be on his knees in a brothel. I don't understand it. Just thinking out loud. Altar, brothel, altar, brothel. This guy was a realist. Well, this is God's sign not to do this. He thought that was a bad idea. And just thinking, you know, God spoke directly to him. It's amazing how God comes in clear focus when you're under arrest. I used to always say, you know, Jesus lives in the county jail because everybody I took there found him. So this guy says, oh, we're in Polk County? You know, my friend was just arrested here last night. You got to be kidding me. Now, I'm going to start to introduce you to some of these morons. But here's the one that I think is just super cool. This is like mother, like daughter. So we're talking to a mom. She's 48, Sherry Pena. She's on public assistance. She's living at a DV shelter in Central Florida. She drove her daughter, Haley Pena, 23, to have sex. When we ask her, "You're a mother to this young lady, what are you thinking?" She said, "Oh, whoa, wait a minute. I just thought I was taking her to buy drugs." Oh, that's better. You know, you're taking her to her drug dealer, right? So anyway, the mother and daughter were also arrested in 2024 for battery over a 65 years of age person. She's arrested. Did I tell you she's on felony probation already? Yep. That's right. She's on felony probation. So that's just a little color there, but let's get to the stack and go through real quickly, and then we'll turn it over to our colleagues here of some other things. Let me get this out of the way. All right, I'm going to go through these. How about Jason Bathis from 43 from Davenport? This is our human trafficking and prostitution folks. He's charged with offering to commit. This Jason Bathis, okay? When he walks in, you think, well, I have set up a deal with an ugly woman. And I think you would all agree that this guy's an ugly woman, right? This is what you really get when the makeup comes off. This is Jason Bathis. Now, I want you to think about this a minute, okay? You decide that you're going to hook up with a woman. She comes in, and she's already uglier than a mud fence, right? And then, as you start to engage, you find out, hey, this dudette is a dude, and look what he really looks like. Yeah, he looks like he should have been in a Scarface movie someplace. I don't know. This is what's happening. People think they're getting this, and many times they're getting a really bad guy. So this is the before and after, you know. When you find them in the bar at night, you know, you try to drink them pretty, and you wake up the next morning and you see this. Yeah, that's what we call Rolex ugly. Rolex ugly is you wake up the next morning and they're laying on your arm and your Rolex is there, and you just chew your arm off and leave the Rolex. You just got to get out of there. You don't care about the Rolex. But that's the kind of people we're going to talk about today. Then there's a Darius Taylor. He's 34. He played at Lake Gibson High School football. Went on to have an outstanding career in the NFL. He played for the Carolina Panthers, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Cleveland Browns, and he was a linebacker. But listen, the dude made a lot of mistakes. He not only brought his 6-year-old child to the operation, but he left his 6-year-old child in the car when he went to do the operation. The 6-year-old child has a lot of medical issues, and he left this child alone that should have never been left alone because of medical conditions. DCF was on site, took possession of the child immediately, found mom. Mom came and got the child. The child is doing fine. This guy here, you know, obviously he must have hit one too many people as a linebacker because his brain cells are scrambled. He shouldn't have shown up in the first place, but to leave that child, my goodness. So he picked up a child neglect charge along with everything else. Then there's David Michael. He's 35. He's a medical doctor for Orlando Health. He showed up. He's got dual citizenship. He's also from the country of Egypt. And he decided to, hey, you know, I'm not saving any lives or making people feel better tonight, so I'll go make sure I feel better by going to this house of ill repute that turned out being law enforcement officers from all over Central Florida doing what's right. Then there's Nimish Patel. Nimish is 53. He's an event planner. He didn't plan on this event, but he is an event planner. He's on public assistance. Yep. We asked him, dude, what are you doing here? He says, you know, my wife's being treated for cancer at Moffitt. Well, number one, if you have cancer, there's not a better place, any place, than Moffitt, okay? Highly recommend that. But since she's being treated, I thought I'd just show up here. You got to be kidding me, man. You're not home taking care of your wife, somebody who's done everything for you. You're out scally-dogging around, and your wife's sick. Nasty people. Then there's Patrick Dang. He's 40. He's from Newport Richey. He's married. And he owns Dang Good Sushi in Trinity, Florida. Yeah. He came for a dang good time, but it didn't work out that way. Next time you go there and get sushi, you may want to make sure that he's wearing gloves or washed his hands. And by the way, I had some law enforcement officers that had been at his restaurant, said it's pretty good sushi. Alphonse Ibua, 37. He's an IT tech for Paragon Systems, and he's contracted by the federal government. He's married. He's an 8-year Army vet. His wife thought he was at the gym. Well, he was going to do some exercise, I got to admit that, until he found out it was us. So we ask him, okay, why did you do this? Well, you know, my wife's indisposed this week, so I just thought I'd come down here for some stress relief. Well, his wife ain't happy. Just thought I'd add that, and he went to jail. Then there's Jonathan Epstein, who's 38. He's a Walmart manager. Now, he came and he said, oh, I'll pay extra because I don't want to wear any protection. Well, that's just dandy, you know. I guess next time you go to Walmart, you know, and he greets you, hi, I'm here for, you know, you can say, you have any protection? Ahmad Ansat, 22, he's a registered nurse for Tampa General. And Tampa General, by the way, I didn't come here to advertise all these wonderful places, and they're professional places. Tampa General, if you get very sick or have a significant injury, you want to make your way to Tampa General. It's top of the line. Not so with him, but the rest of them do good. Isaac Torrado de Jesus, he's 28. He's unemployed. Now, he's going to spend money, understand, but he's unemployed, okay? And you go, Well, his wife at that moment in time is working at Lakeland Regional Health. She's 8 months pregnant, working while he is spending money because he's unemployed, right? Spending her money on prostitutes. When we asked him why, he said, I had a lot of spare time. Okay, I don't even know how to explain that. Then there's Arthur Lark II, 54, from Haines City. He's married. He was charged with soliciting sex. But this guy has, instead of doing minor crimes and working up, he did major crimes and is working down. He was first arrested in Orange County in 1990 during a drug beef. He shot at his person he was fussing with and missed and hit and killed a 16-year-old boy. An innocent person he killed. Now, while he's in jail and they're doing an investigation, jail and prison, they determined that he had also committed a 1989 murder. And in that one, he and some friends were trying to steal a vehicle. A neighbor came home and said, hey, they're stealing my neighbor's vehicle. So he confronted them. Lark pulled a gun out. The neighbor says, whoa, this is all the good news I can stand in one day. He turns and runs. Lark chases him down and kills him for trying to be a good neighbor. He did 26 years in prison. That sounds significant, but it's only 13 years for each murder, and one is an innocent kid. that he missed and hit, and the other is a neighbor that was trying to help, and now he's out and involved again. And then there's Robert Burnett. He's 30. He's works in IT for the St. Pete Clearwater International Airport. He's married as well. The detective said he cried a lot and he peed his pants. I understand that. I'm married to an Auburndale girl. I would think this is the end of my life because if I go home, she's just going to kill me. I don't think that happened to him. At least there's no death reports yet, but he did go to jail. That's just a snapshot. They all have a story. We just picked those out. Now, I want you to hear from some of our subject matter experts that worked with us today. We'll start with Jody and Stacy from One More Child. Jody?
Thank you, Sheriff. Good morning. My name is Jody Domingue. I am the Acting Chief Operating Officer at One More Child. One More Child has been providing services to vulnerable children and struggling families for over 120 years. This includes advocacy and direct care service to survivors of human trafficking throughout Florida, North Carolina, Tennessee, Ohio, and several countries around the world. The Polk County Sheriff's Office still remains one of our closest partnerships, and I would like to congratulate them on another successful operation. Once again, we were able to join them at ground zero every night, providing opportunities of hope and a future by those who are impacted by sexual exploitation. Because of our incredible partnership, One More Child spoke and offered services to over 90 individuals, 19 of which have already agreed to services that include connection to safe shelter, advocacy, mental health counseling, and mentorship with a lived experience expert. One More Child provides immediate and ongoing services not only to those who are able to be identified as victims that night, but also to individuals who are not ready to identify and who are still in a life of sexual exploitation. I say this every time. The individuals who walk through that door might not be ready to be identified that night, but what we know is that statistically, there is a history of abuse and sexual exploitation in their past. No one grows up wanting to sell their bodies for profit, and we are committed to providing opportunities for a life outside of sexual exploitation and human trafficking. Critical partnerships and collaboration like what you see up here today is very important, but we are only one piece of the solution. We have to set a precedent in the state of Florida that the purchasing of a person should be more than a mere misdemeanor. Advocates have introduced legislation for the past several years to try to increase penalties that are worthy of the trauma that impacts every individual that is bought during these operations, and to make the first charge a felony. This is a standard we must set in the state of Florida to put a dent into this problem. Legislators, we need your help next year getting this over the finish line. Now, the true heroes in this collaboration are our survivor leaders and our lived experience experts. They bravely utilize their history of pain and trauma as a bridge of connection for those who are recovered in all of these operations. They use their life experience to inform every aspect of our work, and they are the only real experts in this field. One More Child ensures that a lived experience expert is on the ground every night of these operations. And I would like to introduce you to one of our most incredible survivor leaders, and she's lent her expertise for many years to these operations, Miss Stacy Ham.
Good morning. I want to first start by thanking Sheriff Grady Judd, the Polk County Sheriff's Office, all the other law enforcement that assisted with us, and to the NGOs that we continuously collaborate and partner with. Your dedication is what really makes a true difference here today. I stand here before you not only as a survivor of human trafficking, but as someone who once believed that's all my life would ever be. My story began before I even had a voice. I come from 3 generational cycles of familial sex trafficking. By the time I was just 2 years old, my father sold me to the first time to one of his friends in the neighborhood. My siblings and I, we grew up with abuse, abandonment, and fear. We were often found sleeping at parks or wandering downtown alone. The times we weren't needed, we were held in closets or locked up in a backyard. I grew up expecting fear at any moment, and I was eventually removed from my home. I was separated from my siblings and placed into the foster care system. While I spent my time in the foster care system, we continued to be exploited, and even one of my siblings continued to be sexually abused, and the case never went anywhere. I was then adopted into a home, and I'm often asked, when adopted, is that when my rescue came? And it wasn't. That's when my abuse continued to happen and my exploitation continued. I grew up thinking that this was normal, and this left me open to be susceptible to be a vulnerable target. I was so desperate to be seen and to be loved, and this led me right back into a cycle of trafficking. We often imagine traffickers to present certain stereotypes or to be a certain gender. But my trafficker as a young adult was a friendly female who was the retail store manager of where I applied an interview. She hired me, gave me a place to live, and provided me a sense of family and protection that I was so desperate for. But really her kindness masked a vulnerability of her luring me back into the life of trafficking. During this recent sting operation, I heard story after story that echoed so much of mine. So many of the victims that my team and I got to work with shared childhood abuse, time in the foster care system, times their family members were selling them, times that nobody would look and listen at them. Two of the survivors that we got to talk to shared how they were offered false promises. It was prostitution, they were told. But really what it was is they were being exploited, they were being sold, and they were being faced with threats, and they were being feared. We often ask, why don't they leave? Why are they choosing to stay? But I can tell you, as someone who was pulled back into the life of trafficking, it impacted my housing, it impacted my job, my transportation, so where was I to go? It took several people coming into my life, trying to make a difference and trying to show me that there was positives, there was an outcome, and there was a way out of this. They say it takes an average of 10 points of contact for someone to feel comfortable and safe to finally speak up to be seen. When I found the courage to try to find and leave my trafficking situation, I was met with fear and I was met with threats. There was the threats that they would release the content that I had created during my exploitation, and I had no clue who would get that. I was faced with the very real possibility of losing everything. And to someone who had lost so much in her life, the little bit of stability I had was what I wanted to cling to. That's the reality for so many of the survivors that we work with each and every day. It's the choice between staying in a dangerous situation or stepping into the known with little or no safety net to catch them, and that's what my team and I do. And everything changed for me when the right people came along. They didn't ask me why didn't I leave sooner, but instead they asked, how can we help you? How can we give you the tools for you to create the life that we know God gave for you? They helped me with resources, with therapy, and most importantly, a belief that God has a true purpose for my life. The operation we're discussing today, it's more than just a news headline. It represents lives being saved, generational cycles being broken, hope being rekindled and restored to survivors. But this is just the beginning. True justice doesn't end with the arrest. It continues with our survivors receiving long-term support, rehabilitation, and the unwavering belief that every person deserves freedom, dignity, and a future. To the survivors watching and the survivor sisters here with me in this room, you have value, you have worth, and you have purpose. And to everyone else, I ask you, keep showing up, keep fighting for survivors, keep fighting for us to be seen in spaces where you don't see us. Every voice and every action, it matters and it does make the difference. Thank you.
If there's any doubt in your mind why we do these human trafficking operations, there's your sign. If we only saved one, it's worth the whole operation. And I can tell you with Jody and her team, we're saving a whole lot more than that. And that's very, very important to us. Next, I'm honored to introduce David Grady, the Assistant Field Office Director.
Good morning, David Grady with ICE Enforcement and Removal Operations here in Tampa. Just wanted to start off, thank you, Sheriff, and all the agencies here for allowing ICE Enforcement and Removal Operations and Homeland Security Investigations to be part of this well-executed operation. ICE is in a unique position to enforce U.S. immigration law in the U.S. interior with its broad investigatory authorities and law enforcement capabilities. Our congressionally mandated mission is to preserve public safety and national security by keeping dangerous criminal aliens out of our communities. ICE uses data-driven, fact-based intelligence to identify, arrest, and remove criminal aliens from the United States. It partners with local, tribal, state, and federal law enforcement agencies to keep our communities safe and preserve national security. We prioritize public safety over politics. Brave officers are on the streets every single day, risking their lives to locate, arrest, and remove the most egregious criminals in line with the President's policy of the worst first. Throughout this operation, ICE ERO officers encountered over 50 foreign-born aliens and placed detainers with the Polk County Sheriff's Office on over 30 of them. ICE enforcement and removal operations, as well as Homeland Security investigations, are committed to our partnerships in the effort to identify and combat predators engaged in human trafficking and child exploitation. Once again, Sheriff, just thank you very much for allowing us to be part of this operation this year. We look forward to our continued partnership. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, I'm going to say some things that our colleagues, our federal colleagues, are not permitted to say because they work for bosses who work for bosses who work for bosses. I can't say enough good about ICE, the ERO, and the HSI guys and gals. They are hand in glove with us every day. They have a mission from the President of the United States. We also have another mission at the state level from Governor DeSantis, and that is to keep people safe. Now, I want to underscore one more time, 15% of the people that we arrested weren't even supposed to be in this country, but they were in this country committing crime. 26 of the 36 here were not documented at all, which means they didn't come across the border illegally and then check in, as we were led to believe they were doing. But 26 of the 36, they had no information on them at all, which means they snuck in the border and they're in the country. So we really don't know how many illegal immigrants are in this country. We know how many came in and checked in. Several of the comments that these illegal immigrants made is, yes, they're feeling the pressure, but they're not going anyplace. We asked them, hey, will you take the $1,000 and go home? And they go, of course not. No, we're not doing that. We're staying here. They're going to stay here until we make them leave. We heard stories of why they were crossing, as they were making their way to the border, that people dying at various crossings in Mexico and Central America. One told us that he made a $20,000 payment to a coyote to get him into the United States, and he walked for 5 days through the desert. Another said he paid $10,000. Now, he's been deported 3 times and he keeps coming back. Another paid $7,000 to come across. When we ask one, why do you keep coming back? He said, oh, I always keep coming back. I'm in construction. I can make $60,000 a year here under the table. And I can make, $6,000 in Mexico, $10,000 in Mexico. I'm always coming back. Even when y'all send me away, you're going to have to stop me again. Ladies and gentlemen, another reported that he came here illegally from Cuba and saw 2 people drown along the way. They shouldn't be here. They're committing crime. They're taking up resources of United States taxpayers. They're not coming here the right way. We open our arms to those immigrants that come here legally and appropriately. But the ones that come here and commit crime, that is 100% totally not acceptable. Now, I would ask if Ms. Peters, Rita Peters, from the statewide Office of the Attorney General would come. James Uthmeyer, our Attorney General, is always eager to send people and to help us with these operations. And Ms. Peters, as I said earlier, is just simply the best of the best when it comes to prosecutors.
Thank you, Sheriff. I am very honored to be able to have a nickname from one of Florida's favorite sheriffs. So I'm going to boast in that a little bit and live in that glory. Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you to all of the heroes that were part of this operation. I have the honor, along with my co-worker, Paige Tucker, to be here on behalf of Florida's Attorney General, James Uthmeyer. You hear a lot that Florida's a law and order state, and never is that more apparent than in this operation, and all of the agencies that worked tirelessly, hand in hand, to ensure that Florida is made safe. Agencies from our sheriff's offices around Central Florida, our police departments around South Florida, our organizations that offer victim services, the Department of Children and Families, and the prosecution partners, not just statewide prosecution, but also Brian Haas, our local state attorney. Because of that partnership and that shared mission, we were able to be part and honored to be part of an operation that kept Florida safe, took individuals off the street that were trying to make victims, that were trying to seek victims, and we were able to assist in getting victims some assistance. And so for that, we thank all of our law enforcement partners. They are the line between good and evil, and we thank them every day for that, and we are very privileged to be part of that machine that happened in Fool Around and Find Out. Thank you.
As we wrap up today, I want to underscore that not any single one of our agencies could have done this alone. It's the partnership and the teamwork. And we all serve the same people across the county, across the state, and across the nation. The people of the nation trust us to keep them safe, and that's what we do here in Polk County and in Central Florida and in the state of Florida. But good things don't just happen. Good people have to make good things happen. And these are good people representing their agencies. So I'm eternally grateful for the partnership and the teamwork that they have provided once again in a major operation. And I want to underscore and end with this, because these broadcasts will go nationwide. If your community is not partnering with and creating these operations across the United States, why not? You need to be asking your chiefs and your sheriffs and your state police, your prosecutors, your mayors, your city and county commissioners, why aren't we doing that here? And when you hear the statement, well, we don't have that problem here, know that that's not the truth. There's nothing unique about the people in Florida other than we seek them out. They hide under rocks and in bushes. This is a stealthful undercover operation. Every community in this nation has this issue. Now, very few of these people, I think like 21 or 22, came out of our county, out of the 255. But they came from all around the Florida area and the other states. So lean in to your leaders in your communities if you don't have these operations, and understand when a police chief says, I can't do that. Well, none of us can do it either alone. But when you create that partnership and friendship and you go after the bad guys, you save these victims of human trafficking, you find these illegal aliens that are here committing crimes, and you deal with ICE. I can't say enough good work about ICE. They are really, really, really going above and beyond to help us all. So thank you. God bless you. It's good that you came with us to be with us today. We'll see you. And a word to the wise. There'll be another one. Fool around and find out. See you later.